The content of this meeting is being sent to a third party. Got it. Setting up your meeting. Done. And redirecting to YouTube. Woohoo! The screens are changing and it's thinking and it's now bringing. The content of this meeting is being sent to a third party. Got Okay. Woohoo! All right. Can you actually comment? That is an important question. And I also want to say that I flipped to chapter 13, interestingly enough, in my book, Fully Committed, The Sacred Sojourn of Now. And this is the chapter on networking, bad advice, and OPCA litigant status conversion threats. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So I wish that I had learned about the privacy settings of videos before going live. But given that I am live and I want to make sure that you can comment, if you can leave a comment to let me know that you can comment, that would be really helpful to me because I am presently trying to get my computer to catch up with where I want to be, which is actually able to communicate, and I can't because the restrictions are set to Made for Kids. But at 7 o'clock, this March 30th of 2024, I am changing that. So no more are there restrictions. Now you should be able to actually contribute and hear the message about this launch of a 66 Days to Transform Your Self-Image series that I am actually going to be leading with the support of my friends, which is super exciting. So I would love to invite you to join us on a journey inward where we will actually be doing what we need to in order to be the ones we've been waiting for. And when we actually pay attention to what that means, then it seems that we get to be the ones that called the shots where before shots were issued. And these are the things that sometimes it's hard to actually quantify. And that's what we've got to shift. So, woohoo! 3:33 was when I saw that. And given I haven't seen anybody leaving any comments, I'll say Willa Claire is a beautiful name. That is my little niece. And it is 7:02. And I just wanted to say that for months, I invested countless hours into weekly leaders meetings while also sitting on a spiritual outreach committee because of the work I'd done to craft and produce a series that disseminated the proclaimed teachings of the Ascended Masters by Summit Lighthouse that I was trying to gather information about, hence creating the show. I was also hosting virtual peace summits and workshops to bring progressive thinkers together in the name of rising above the external chaos of the modern day. And I co-led and launched a music project called Album 22 that brought artists from around the globe together at a time when touring was off limits. Plus, I was sharing my insights along the way as I worked privately with my lawman to clear my name and protect myself from the unlawful imposition of de facto laws. I do not believe are in the greatest or highest good of the people for whom they are said to be made. I was doing a lot, but I wasn't getting paid because I believed warriors need to be able to find one another more than I needed a bank account full of fiat currency that will be worthless when the markets crash and people lose their minds because the lies will no longer be deniable. Unfortunately, people often only value things in relation to their investment into them. So, my efforts to make my words accessible to people who may not have paid for it devalued my efforts and drained my own energetic resources due to an imbalanced reciprocal exchange of energy. I knew better, but my web of self-worth, esteem, and belief kept me from doing better until I recognized the value of calling back my energy so I could direct it more intentionally. That is page 50, 65 and 66 of Fully Committed, the Sacred Sojourn of Now, which actually is the hero's journey from a soulful perspective. And I flipped to that section because I want to invite you to actually come on a journey inward with me as your guide, who has tried my very best to disseminate information of a higher vibration to those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, and a willingness to not revere anything outside of the highest aspect of us that is individuated through each of us and the way we live our lives. So, I wanted this night to let you know that album 24 is a go. We're going to have a birthday launch on October 10th of this year, 2024. And what's most exciting to me is that I tried to have a book launch for my 30th birthday and it didn't pan out, but this will be my 37th birthday now. And I am excited to say that we'll have a third music project launching that day. And there are some other opportunities that I do believe will be being announced in terms of availability for the holiday season when we can actually have a reason to focus on the real story of Rome and how we actually honed the reality of my empowerment using the vernacular of us, me, ours, we, mine, ourselves, myself, those first person pronouns that allow us to maintain our position within our story as the one telling it, compared to one rendered a third party in our own affair because we allowed a merchant or usury agent to actually step in between us and ours in order to speak for us, and then deposed us by putting us into a he, her, his, its, she, theirs. Those third person pronouns are just simply a one who is displaced in their own story. Do you see what I'm saying? It's pretty crazy, eh? Yeah. So I wanted to actually share with you that Genevieve Behrend actually has a phenomenal book called Your Invisible Power that is about knowing your power and getting visual. So what are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? What have you always been interested in? Where would you go if you could? If money wasn't an issue, where would you be right now? What would you do for free? What do you do for free just simply because it's what you feel inclined to do, that you're good at, that makes sense for you to offer? What could you spend your life doing and be satisfied with, even if you never received any identity from the value exchanged for your service? What would it be? What would you do? How would you invest your time, energy, effort, attention, and money? Those are your team players of energetic resources. How would you invest them? When would you start? And why wait that long even? Whenever that was that you said you would start by, why would you wait until then if that's what's on your heart now to do? Hey Tristan, good to see you. Who says you can't do whatever it is that is on your heart to do now? Who says you can't do it now? Play to your giftedness. Self-doubt is the number one killer of all dreams. So long as it is not imposing your will onto another, then you have to really be aware that you are the one that has to care more about the outcome that you desire than anyone else. And you can't get permission to do the mission from someone else that doesn't have the ability to see the mission that was on your heart to complete. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. If you won't breathe into your dreams, they will suffocate. Isn't that magnificent? And I was just also reminded about the need to breathe into the space between when I share something and then when I let it integrate too. And then I saw tonight disintegrate. What? I hadn't even thought about disintegrate being about disintegrating. Like no longer being integrated, getting expelled, essentially. Wow. Faith, intuition, and inner knowing. Forget how by knowing your why. Return to your list of mixed accomplishments now and future to decide what's the next step. So the list of mixed accomplishments came earlier, and what's interesting is that what's next on your menu is actually the subsequent week from a presentation that I was putting together back in 2012, I do believe, when I was first an empowerment coach and teacher, speaker, and trying to make it in a new country as a Canadian now living in England. And it was really intimidating, and yet I was giving it everything I had. And I was dating one of my mentors from the coaching program I'm certified through. And so I really had a lot to prove because he was 18 years older than me. Plus, he was my mentor. So now I was comparing myself to the teachers of the industry that I was wanting to really step into. And so I'll just simply say that the universe has a kitchen. Don't order and wonder if and when it might come. Know that it is coming. In this course, you have placed an order and the item must be larger than you so you can grow into it. For dreams were made a few sizes too big for us to grow into. Don't undersell yourself or doubt your ability to achieve something if you haven't done it before. Know that you will grow in the journey and you will never want to arrive at a destination. For when you get there, then you start to see that the next valley of peaks that lead to new horizons are in the distance. Stopping kills momentum. We've got to keep striving forward. And with the flow of life, we have to really move with that flow of life, where synchronicity is simply because we are so in flow that synchronistic things seem to go according to plan. Be gentle with yourself. Create your personal growth plan and stick with it, which is where I would like to command you to be part of something you have no idea what it is, because I'm going to summarize it and make it more digestible for you. But what I want to do actually here is to read you a free article, pretty much, that I created in 2014 or 15. So I want you to see the copy that I wrote back then, 7/13 on March 30th. I want to say as well, as of April 1st, we're starting a 66 Days to Transform Your Self-Image series. Now, what's exciting about this is that we've got a sliding model for sponsorship, and you can either become a Patreon, where you can actually choose a sponsorship level, or you can just send me an e-transfer for a donation of $9.99 or whatever it is. That's nearly $1,000, yes, which is a sizable contribution that I would very much appreciate, because it will allow me to then give back to those with skills that I'm calling to come to 2 retreats that are included in that. So you would be able to stay at the lodge with me and others who are going to be part of the filming crew, who decide ahead of time the films, the screens, the scenes that we want to shoot, and then we're going to film them. And so that's what we're going to be reading here, which is really the precursor to where we're moving to now, because ultimately I've been talking in the same way that I am now since even before I moved back from England, which has been more than a decade now. So it's really important to say you are on a unique path. It can be a lonely path, filled with just as many trials and tribulations as any other. But the increased rewards require a greater level of self-responsibility than the path of mediocrity walked by the masses. We are not trained to consciously participate in the creative process. Quite the opposite. In fact, we are taught to work hard and accept what comes our way. As a conscious creator, you have discovered there is a better way, and you are committed to finding it. You have become unwilling to settle for the life you were taught should make you happy, because at one point or another you found it didn't. No matter how good life is, it will never satisfy you. Not because you are ungrateful or selfish or any of the other indignant labels strapped on people who seek fuller expression of their divine gifts and attributes, but because you are a creative being by design, and creative beings experience themselves through their creations. It is literally against your genetic makeup to not constantly seek greater and fuller expression of yourself. This report is designed for those willing to embrace your creative potential and who are ready to enjoy the creative process in all its glory. It certainly won't always be fun, but by applying these 5 simple steps to conscious creatorship, you'll be able to find more enjoyment in the creative process. There are typical pitfalls that people fall into before they fully commit to conscious creatorship, and by implementing the 5 simple steps shared here, you can safeguard yourself from falling into them. The first pitfall is the trap of guilt from your inner circle. Whoa. As you make changes in your life, you are bound to experience resistance from the people in your life. It's not because they want to intentionally undermine you. It's just that they love you for being the mirror they love to look through. And as you change, their reflective surface changes too. We're all mirrors to each other, reflecting back qualities those around us have either accepted and embraced or rejected and suppressed. Naturally, we most enjoy being with people who exemplify the qualities that we have accepted and embraced, because it's easier to deal with a reflection that's familiar. Most people overlook this reflective process and experience gift envy, offense, or even outrage when someone shows up displaying the very qualities they have denied and reflects these suppressed characteristics back to them. They fail to see themselves in the behavior or ability, and they endeavor to separate themselves from that mirror. As you become a conscious creator, you will experience changes in your relationships, even those you least expect. And some of your loved ones who have known you to be a certain way will react to the changes you make based on their own willingness to consciously participate in their own creative process. Those who are on a spiritual path or trajectory in their spiritual evolution will encourage, support, and sometimes challenge you. to continually realign to what you say you want and who you choose to become. These are the spiritual warriors you want to surround yourself with because they are committed to your evolution and betterment for your own sake rather than for theirs. Unfortunately, the majority are not on this path, and your choosing to veer off course holds a mirror to them as to what they are not willing to do for themselves, and their first reaction will be fear-based. They will blame you for changing and endeavor to guilt trip you back into being the person they thought they knew. Okay, I'm starting to get a tension headache. I don't know how people wear wigs. Oh, okay. So this is me real hair. Okay. They will demonize your changes and paint them with strokes of righteousness, selfishness, superiority, and disdain, all because you now make them uncomfortable. You have become someone who upholds an aspect of themselves they have been denying, and their fight or flight mechanism is in fine working order. To avoid this pitfall, you must be intentional about who you share yourself with on all levels. Therefore, the first step to conscious creatorship is to intentionally choose the mirrors you want to look through. Begin to view your relationships in terms of their residual impact, because the upfront transaction of time and energy have longer-term implications. Surrounding yourself with people who let you off the hook when you aim too high and lose sight of your intention will only serve to keep you playing at a similar level to what you always have. The people who love you want to keep you safe, and that means helping you stay in your comfort zone. You need people who will stretch and challenge you to step out of your comfort zone and take new actions in order to create new results for yourself. It is proven that you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. And if you're the biggest thinker you know, you've got to intentionally seek out people who will help you uphold a bigger version for yourself. If the mirrors you look through most often are filmed over, smudged, and cracked, take it upon yourself to seek out people who do not have such clouded consciousness. Dirty minds will stain a clean surface, and if you're committed to your highest path and purpose, focus on cleaning your own mirror and intentionally invest your time into people who can reflect your potential back to you and hold that image until you're able to embody it. The second pitfall you'll encounter is the trap of victimhood. Most people in our society spend the majority of their time blaming, complaining, and justifying their circumstances and results as if they don't have a choice. It's the who's done it to me syndrome. And if you're committed to the path of a conscious creator, it's time to realize you can either have your excuses or you can create a life you love, but you can't have both. Victims who blame their circumstances on others fail to accept their powerful role in the creative process and thereby create more dysfunctional experiences in their lives to create stories about. Victims will often go so far as to deny their creative power by referencing such forces as fate, chance, and luck. A befitting acronym for the word denial is "didn't even notice I am lying." People in the throes of victimhood really don't know they're lying either, because in their mind, the epicenter of our creative power, they are without choice. As a conscious creator, you recognize that we always have a choice. We can accept what is, or we can take massive action to create something different. And in the process, choose to see the opportunity in the disappointment. Successful people are no more smarter or more capable than unsuccessful people. They have simply taken action consistently to create a better result. And as a conscious creator, you are committing to your creative power now and moving forward. The second step to become a conscious creator and step out of victimhood's trap is to become committed to greatness. Life is full of good opportunities. They're all around us, and they are all vying for our attention. The problem is you only have 24 hours in a day, and those hours are already full. So taking on something new means reprioritizing how you distribute everything that is already filling that space. I once had a conversation with my friend and mentor, Scott Fay. I had been asked by a friend to do a speaking engagement for a large group where I wouldn't be able to promote my services or business, as it was a pure value add networking opportunity. At the time, my website needed to be revamped. I was working more than 80 hours a week, and the prep work required to do a great job seemed like a bigger investment than my seemed like a bigger investment of my energies than the return I could expect from the opportunity. Scott used his motorcycle as an example of how much he loves to ride, but how his current lifestyle meant he was wasting more energy worrying about and cleaning his bike than he was riding it. And so, for where he was right then, he was going to sell it. Riding his motorcycle had become a good opportunity rather than a great one, just like the speaking engagement was seeming to me. In the end, I declined the opportunity because it just wasn't a great opportunity for me at that time, and my friend appreciated me letting her know well in advance so she could find an alternative. When we choose to honor ourselves and turn down good opportunities for only those with great potential, based on where we are now, the lid lifters in our lives will support us even if they don't necessarily see it the same way. To go up, you have to give up, as my friend and mentor John Maxwell says. And if your life is full of good opportunities, greatness won't be able to join the party. Intentionally make space for greatness by filtering every opportunity through the lens of good versus great. Before you take something new on, decide what you are going to move over in order to make that space. If you can't find the time, space, energy for it, the likelihood is that it's a really good opportunity. But if you're truly committed to greatness, good just isn't enough. If it truly is a great opportunity for you, you'll find a way to fit it in without sacrificing something of higher value that you have already made room for. And that is the test of discernment that will keep you consciously creating the life of your dreams. The third pitfall you'll encounter is the trap of focusing on the problem. It's so easy to get caught up in a problem that you lose the ability to enjoy what is going well in your life. As divinely creative beings, our creative potential shows up in three areas: sex, money, and health. And when we have a problem in one area, we usually focus our efforts on improving it instead of continuing to enhance the areas that are already doing well. This seemingly obvious approach, however, is actually undermining you. John Maxwell, a mentor I've stayed close to for over 5 years, is the leading authority in the field of leadership, and his recommendation is to develop your strengths, not your weaknesses, because at best, your weaknesses will only ever get you to average. The same is true with your creative potential, but for a different reason. Creativity is most abundant when you are in a receptive headspace, because fear blocks the flow of new ideas, resources, and opportunities. It's the opposite of the horse with blinders on, who is less gun shy in a chaotic space because their peripheral vision is largely blocked out. When we are so focused on what's not going well for us to the exclusion of what is going well, we become fearful of everything because we project our dissatisfaction on the one thing, with the one thing onto all things. The danger then becomes all we can see. The third step is to reclaim your power as a conscious creator. The third step to reclaim your power as a conscious creator is to intentionally redirect your focus away from the problem area in your life and invest more of your energy into enhancing what is going well. If finances are stressing you out right now, focus on what you can influence immediately in the areas of health and sex. Commit to your fitness and bring exercise back into your daily life. Because while you're stressing out about your bank account balance, you likely didn't feel like exercising anymore. Take a fitness class you enjoy, or go for a run in nature. Consider nurturing your body with foods you enjoy that are also nutritious. Take the time to be peaceful and meditate in a way that helps you refocus on the good. If you have been neglecting your relationships or putting intimacy on hold due to stress about health or money, intentionally make time to bond with your partner or loved one in a way that nurtures your heart and soul. Even if you are single or not sexually active, you can still find ways to experience your sexuality in fun and creative ways. This shift is this shift in focus away from the areas where you currently feel lack will naturally unblock your receptivity and the flow of abundance, while moving the stagnation out of the areas that previously caused you frustration. The greatest sign you are moving the stagnation out and bringing more abundance in can be measured by your funometer. While that's not necessarily a legitimate tool, the more fun you're experiencing in your life, the more abundance you'll be able to enjoy. Make play and fun a necessary part of your creative process, and you are sure to create more rewarding outcomes for yourself in every area of your life. On a soul level, we all have a unique creative blueprint that determines how we most authentically create by understanding how each aspect of our creative preferences fit together. We grant ourselves permission to do it in our own way. For example, some people are more inclined to process. Some people are more inclined to enjoy the process of creative creation more than the results they achieve from it, while others are only focused on the results they desire and don't care so much about what they need to do in order to get them. Learning where you fall on each of the creative spectrums can dramatically improve your experience of both the creative process and the outcomes you create. To demystify your creative blueprint, you can apply for a private reading with me, Laura J, now, which is news to me because that has not been something I've been offering. However, I am actually now offering a 66 Days to Transform Yourself image retreat package. And it is an opportunity to be able to actually see how we are the ones that somehow someone I think raised a hand. Interesting. I don't know quite what happened there. But what I do know is that I am grateful to be here and I am going to keep going with this, but I'm going to have a drink first. So yeah, I'm just creating the email right now, actually. So, or the blog, not the email, but the emails, you got to be subscribed to ljeh.ca. And once you're subscribed, you're going to start getting the emails for the series starting April 1st. And I'm going to get the blog done tonight, and then I'll put out a final message tomorrow. And then I'm going to also be reaching out to the Album 22 and Album 22 Plus participants to follow up and check in to see where everyone's at now. It's like 3 years later or 2 years later. So it's time for us to really tune into where each other are, how our lives are going, what we've created, what we've sidelined, why, and what we are really hoping for as we move forward, which is really exciting. So, the fourth pitfall is falling into the trap of obligation and expectation. During the first mastermind group I participated in on Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, a book that everyone should read at least once in their lives, I heard that opinions are like belly buttons. Everyone has one, but that doesn't necessarily mean everyone needs to see it. Opinions masquerade as truth and often come across in a should message like, I just did to you by recommending Think and Grow Rich the way I did. Now, I intentionally use that language because it's the most common way people try to push their ideas onto others, and because that book is responsible for creating more millionaires than any other book in history. So the advice could really serve you, but ultimately it's still just an opinion. When you were growing up as a social creature that just wanted to be liked and have a place to belong, you took on a lot of the opinions of those around you. The biggest difference was that as a child, you didn't have the ability to reject the opinions of those around you because your rational mind didn't form until you were around the age of 7. Your mind was an open vessel that picked up on all the opinions of those in your environment at that time and integrated them into your belief systems for you to deal with later about who you are and how you fit in the world with the people in the world and what you're doing in the world in relation to the people of this world. A belief is simply a thought that has been repeated enough times it has energy behind it and now presents itself as truth. What I have come to believe from my years as a coach is that the infamous midlife crisis is the experience of waking up to the fact that they have been pursuing someone else's dream and it actually isn't even their own. That experience of having to discover what they really want at a time when they thought they were well on their way to having achieved it already throws them into a complete chaos, into a complete state of chaos and resentment. Expectations are murderous to relationships because they create feelings of obligation and dysfunction, creative patterns based on resentment that ultimately serve no one. The fourth step to conscious creatorship is to incorporate more play into your day. Find ways to enjoy the creative process, and when you feel yourself falling into the trap of obligation based on expectations you resent, find a way to bring fun into the activity. What strategies have you used in the past to bring enjoyment into something you disliked doing? An easy example is listening to an energizing playlist while you exercise, or wearing something you feel fabulous in when you're going somewhere you prefer not to be. Another element to consider is timing. Where are you at your peak during the day? We all have peaks and troughs in our energy levels throughout the day, so why not structure our day according to when we'll be able to enjoy each activity most? This isn't always possible, but when we have the flexibility in the tasks of the day, alternate the tasks, excite and delight us. If you're feeling heavy and unable to enjoy anything at a certain point, pull on your running shoes and take a brisk walk around the block to boost your mood and get the energy flowing again. Pay attention to those moments of pure joy when you realize a genuine smile is plastered on your face, and find ways to do these things more often. This will help you uncover your passion, and your purpose will not be too far away. Your natural areas of giftedness are not accidental. They are purposeful because they will assist you in fulfilling your unique calling. And by giving up obligation, you make room to receive opportunities and clues that will help you discover your purpose, live with passion, and play with abandon while making magic happen. The final pitfall to avoid is confusion from regret. It is so easy to get confused when where we are isn't as far along as what we thought we should be. Notice how confusion is often tied to expectation? There's an analogy that I've heard applied to both guilt, worry, and neglect with similar effect. It equates each of them to a rocking chair, where they take a lot of effort but ultimately get us nowhere. Why expend our energy on something that isn't serving us when we could instead channel it into taking action to move ourselves forward? The fifth step to conscious creatorship is resolving to enjoy the process. It doesn't require learning how to do this, it just requires you decide to do it. Sure, we could all be further along than we are, but the fact is, we aren't for a reason. You are where you are right now because every experience you have had so far has brought you to this moment and aided your soul's fuller expansion and expression of itself to this point in life. Your life is your soul's opportunity to evolve through new experiences, and while your ego desires instant gratification and fast results, our higher self knows that each setback comes with an opportunity for growth, as does every challenge and heartbreak. To enjoy the process more, especially when things aren't moving as fast as you think they should, practice focusing on and celebrating each step because all of it is serving your soul's desire for a fuller experience and expression of itself, no matter how much time it is taking. Knowing your soul's divine blueprint can help you understand how your energetic properties work together best in your creative process so you can set yourself up for a more enjoyable experience as you go. Learning your blueprint is also useful in moving out of the energy of obligation because you'll learn how you are divinely wired and therefore release the need to create what and how people tell you is best. These readings are by application only and are only for people who do not want to improve their lives, but are actually willing to take new actions to incorporate your authentic style into your creative process. Oh, and they're only for people who not only want to improve their lives, but are actually willing to take new action to incorporate these ideas into your creative process. Above all else, what differentiates a conscious creator from the average person who fails to own their powerful role as the grand overall designer of their world is found within the law of attraction. Your willingness to take action makes all the difference as to how fast you're able to actually attract that which you are needing to act on. Knowledge is not power unless it is acted on. And as a conscious creator, you must intentionally back your creative intentions with the action required to bring them into fruition. Choose the influencers in your life care. Choose the influencers in your life carefully. Commit to greatness. Choose the influencers in your life carefully. Commit to greatness. Redirect your creative focus to enhancing the areas of your life that are already going well. Bring play back into your daily routine and commit to enjoying the process no matter how much further along you thought you'd be by now than you actually are. You are exactly where you need to be. So create the dream. So create the life of your dreams starting from exactly where you are. As I am doing by sharing my first book, Fully Committed. This book took 5 years for me to write in a month in 2022. I got it published and I narrated it as well. So you can check that out on Amazon, Fully Committed, The Sacred Sojourn of Now. What's most exciting to me is that on April 3rd, we're going to be delving into this here baby. And we are going to be proving myself to others as a pattern I hadn't realized had power over me. And so it was that the book began to unravel my self-image so that I could gain lived experience with all the theories I felt could help others transform their lives in the way I had yet to do for myself. So we're going to be using this book to actually go into the 28 chapters, 4 chapters each week at a time. And we're going to be doing it as part of the 66 Days to Transform Your Self-Image series. There will be live calls with some of my favorite friends about fascinating topics that I can't wait to share with you. And we've got 2 live events, one on Earth Day, April 20th, 21st, that's turning into a retreat. Plus, then we've also got the Hub for Humankind event in May that is going to be a really phenomenal festival meets conference experience for people to come together and be part of the experience where we harmonized us and created an action plan to unify and actually create the change that is required. So That's what we're going to be doing with the 66 Days to Transform Your Self-Image series. And what I have actually done this time that is different from what I've done other times is I have made it available by donation, and I'm asking or recommending, suggesting $999. Now, lawful money and fiat currency, presently, you can use either. If you wanted to do something silver backed or gold backed, by all means, that would be fantastic. But right now, I am also accepting the fiat currencies that are ultimately a fair exchange of value, while there is value that is vested in the fiat currencies that are presently being passed around. And what that money is going to go towards is actually your stay in the lodge during the retreats. You've got the masterminds. I'm going to schedule a 30-minute consultation with you once you join. So then I know who you are, what you're about, and then I know how to introduce you to someone that is maybe looking for what you're offering, or that you may be looking for what they have to offer. So that's always what I'm on the lookout for those that I'm connected to. And we are also going to be having group calls, starting with a call with Claudio on April 1st at 10:10 a.m. when we're going to be looking at the major arcana of the tarot in relation to the astro cues and the characters that can be applied to the wheel of life that we are going to be using as a template for the Hub for Humankind's camps and the documentary series that is being filmed at those retreat events, as well as in the lead up to them with the live opportunities, including a witchcraft series with psychic born medium Bobby Roundtree out of BC, where she and I are doing a witchcraft series, but spelt WHICH. To say, which craft are you talking about? Law's a craft, medicine's a craft, accounting's a craft, arts are a craft. We have to really be clear about which craft we're talking about in the first place, and then to see which craft it was that the men and women were getting persecuted for practicing, because that's when we start to see the insanity of being an empowered man or woman at any other time than this present one, which I am doing my best to share the real story of our empowerment, where we actually are able to see a story and side of history that we didn't see before, we now do. So if this is of interest to you, then please make sure that you come on this journey with me. Sign up for emails at ljeh.ca to receive messages to your inbox daily with pictures and call-in codes and a chance to really be part of the assembly of Book 2, the companion manual to Fully Committed. This is also where we're going to be going even deeper into the law of mentalism and how that ties into the modern day witch hunt, legalized and normalized as the Mental Health Act, and how we can actually get our act together faster by helping people learn how to hold sacred space and also move the energies in motion that need to move in order for us to be able to integrate those aspects of us that need to be disillusioned or dispelled or disintegrated. So it is time for us to choose what we are going to integrate in the place of that which would be let go of. And we have to also see that we're not letting go of things in the name of let it go, can't hold it back anymore. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. I forget lyrics so I don't know, but I'm going to try. Ring. This is me. So I hope you've enjoyed my little show. I know I have enjoyed bringing it to you. I will also say that there is going to be an opportunity to start getting together for group calls outside of all that is available in the month of April and May as well. So your support is sincerely appreciated, and it really helps me also be able to commission the photography, videography team, the artists that are going to help stream the information and the art, the music. It's all part of this way bigger experience than what we could even possibly have seen before we saw it in our mind's eye. And then because I am calling the meeting and calling for the creation of the scenes, and then on these events, we're going to actually film those scenes, and it's going to be amazing. So I look forward to sharing that all with you. I appreciate your comments. And also do ask that you let me know what this message has meant to you, what it has meant for you. And as always, I ask you to let me know what you're going to do with it. ljeh.ca is where you can go to get messages about what is possible for you based on getting involved in the Peaceful Inner Warriors United tribe, and then how that ties in with what you're already working on and how there may be overlapping opportunities. So cross-pollination is only possible if we actually know what one another are doing, which is why this is super exciting. You sing quite well. Why, thank you. Well, that's very kind. Okay. So what I am looking for is actually right here. So Aweber, this is where people can receive me emails. It's quite slow. So I think I might just stop the share today, is because if we actually know what's coming and what's good, then we'll be able to direct our fates in a way that we couldn't before. So it was an email blog, not that. Oh dear. Okay. Okay. Grandpa's getting up. So maybe we best just forget it and say that at my website, you'll soon have access to the blog that I am pulling up onto the screen now that I wrote today, and I'm just needing to do a final say over a review. So this is what I do in the back end that you can't see, but that gets put together behind the scenes. Come on a journey to transform your self-image. 66-day series begins April 1st. In order to know where you're going, in order to know where we're going, we can do a quick evaluation of the past and see projections line up. If we do what we've always done. In order to get something new, we have to dream up something new. and then put our energy into creating that. And so it is that instead of leaving our fate in the hands of men who lived before the time we're living in now, I believe it is appropriate for us to craft a self-image we can enjoy living into by intentionally envisioning it ahead of time. Laura J. received an HBA in English from McMaster University in 2009 and has been a certified coach, trainer, and speaker since 2011 when she became the youngest founding partner of the John Maxwell Certification Program. During the 7 years she was heavily involved with the JMT, she was the life partner of a faculty member for 4 years when she coordinated the Coaching Partnerships Program for Mentorship, a program coordinator for 1.5 years, and even acted as an event support at 10 events for a secular training experience that perfectly prepared her to tell the real story of Rome using her own story and all its many twists, turns, and circles. To tell this story, I am calling on my own life story and the story of those further down the path to where I am in consciousness to be able to co-create a vision we love living into. You are invited to come on a journey with me through 66 days to transform your self-image and outer image consciously, and we're going to be recording the whole process. Every day in April and May, you will receive an insightful message from yours truly, Laura J., about an aspect of identity that will be impacted by your choice to step into a different version of reality than what you're used to. We are using the following projects to practically implement the co-creative process of planning a successful event. April 20th to 21st will be an Earth Day Expo for tiny homes and sustainable housing that we're joining with to retreat while this event is already happening. This will give us a chance to meet people who are interested in this niche market while also sharing our desire to co-create a vision that we can all get behind and stand on confidently, knowing that it is beneficial to us all. May 17th to 19th is when the Hub for Humankind is happening, where healers, practitioners, and skilled artisans of life will gather to enrich the lives of one another, while also participating in the real-time filming of a documentary about how we harmonized us. The daily emails will also feature the significant conversations that will be had between myself and new friends who have journeyed way down the rabbit holes of narratives that lead back to a common Roman soldier who passed through town and left his seed, as with so many family trees, including my own. And yet I want to go back even before then and tie together timelines that reflect differing ledgers and methods for tracking time. On November 22nd, 2022, I got the drop that the Justinian deception is significant, and that sent me off on a hunt that disillusioned and disheartened me while I figured out what to do with a competing story that made more sense than any told commonly to date. My lawman friend gave me a binder on Rowan Lorien and Romley Stewart's work that he had assembled over the course of time when I mentioned it to him, and that gave me a solid foundation to stand on in relation to the hierarchy of creation and where we fit into the bigger picture. This is a mindfulness meets lawful leadership training with soulful roots in valuing truth and resonance interceded along the way through life from the vantage point of those I am connected to through the Peaceful Inner Warriors United Initiative. I believe there has been an attack on our placement within our own story and our complacency to be displaced to a second or third party position within our own story, which is a first person perspective if telling it for ourselves, is part of the covert elimination of God-given rights. The covert elimination of given rights by a de facto corporation within fictitious nation states that claim whatever they named or gave status to. Me, my, mine, us, we, ours, ourselves, myself, notre, and our are the first person pronouns we've got to reclaim in order to assume the proper placement in our story and also within the legal fiction in the office of man. The use of first person pronouns mean we are telling our own story. When a second person or party gets introduced into our story, that is when the notion of an other comes into the equation. If we are deemed third party persons within our own story, that is when someone else is allowed to tell our story for us with authority that can even supersede or trump the truth as lived by the one whose life is being written about by another. What this means is that I'm going to use the 66 days to transport. What this means is that I am going to use the 66 days series to create the companion manual to Fully Committed that will feature this real story of Rome, as I've learned to tell it after more than a year of intuitively researching the tale of our origins. There are many hidden agendas and plans at play at all times that we would be well served to be mindful of as we maneuver the transformation of our self-image, because that is the precursor to identity which connects to the personas we wear and the stories we share. This is the danger of the pronouns agenda, where our sets of beliefs are introduced as part of our idea to reveal our allegiances right from the beginning, and why the law of gender has become a performance of drama through genres that people don't seem to have recognized the covert underside of shifting places within Hiero's prism. Genres are a category of artistic composition, as in music or literature, characterized by similarities in form, style, or subject matter, and drama is an exciting, emotional, or unexpected series of events or set of circumstances so together they reflect well the hermeneutic law or principle of gender, which opens the rabbit hole that begins our time together in this series. Hermeneutics is broadly referred to as textual or scriptural interpretations within a cycle of learning that consists of multiple forms of the same energy. The process of interpreting and applying natural law principles to contemporary ethical dilemmas involves hermeneutic considerations of general principles connected to morality, justice, and human rights, and their applicability to certain situations or cases. Hermeneutics can contribute to a more nuanced and contextually sensitive interpretation of a situation by shifting perspectives from standing in the forest as one enmeshed in the situation compared to moving to stand outside of it and see it from a higher vantage point. The double hermeneutic is the theory that everyday layman concepts and those from the social sciences have a two-way relationship understood differently by different sections of society and have become a criterion for demarcating the human social form from the natural sciences by dividing society into groups of those who know the bigger picture, those who think they know, those who don't know where to find the truth or what to trust, and those who don't know and don't care to. This complacency and complicity are what have allowed a 2+ tier society to thrive while we've been living at the baseline level of survival. The term hermeneutic prism could be metaphorically used to describe the various perspectives and lens through which individuals interpret and understand texts, ideas, or experiences based on our unique perspectives, experiences, or influences from within the prism of our own perspective. It's just that we weren't expecting our perspective to be the way. It's just that we weren't expecting our perspective to be the way we've got trapped by the hegemonic priesthood in Hiero's prism that we're here to convert back into hourglass as a vessel that sustains and nourishes us. The hermeneutic circle refers to the idea that understanding a text involves a circular movement between the parts and the whole. According to this concept, one must interpret the individual elements of a text in light of the broader context. while also understanding the broader context in light of the individual elements. In other words, interpretation involves moving back and forth between the details and the larger framework in order to arrive at a more comprehensive understanding. Hermeneutic spiral. The hermeneutic spiral expands upon the idea of the hermeneutic cycle by emphasizing the dynamic and iterative nature of interpretation. Instead of a static circular movement, the hermeneutic spiral suggests that interpretation is an ongoing process that deepens and evolves over time. As one engages with a text repeatedly and gains new insights or perspectives, their understanding of the text spirals outward, becoming more nuanced and enriched with each iteration. And then the hermeneutic sphere extends the metaphor. Ooh, that's loud. The hermeneutic sphere extends the metaphor of the circle to encompass the broader context within which interpretation takes place. It emphasizes the interpretation is influenced by a multitude of factors, including cultural, historical, social, and personal contexts. The hermeneutic sphere highlights the interconnectedness of various interpretive frameworks and the importance of considering multiple perspectives in the interpretation of text. A hermeneutic prism could represent a framework or perspective through which one views and interprets texts or phenomena. Da 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 da. Just kidding. Similar to how a prism refracts light into its component colors, a hermeneutic prism might serve to illuminate different aspects or dimensions of a text, allowing for a multifaceted interpretation. And once we tie in the story of Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, we start to see how it all weaves together nicely. Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat of privileged identity. This is truly an exceptional share and read that needs to be divided, I do believe. So I'm going to say that I'm going to put this second part about Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat into the email that goes out for the first, and to invite you to join us for the discourse at 10:10, where we're going to be meeting on the playing field of collective consciousness. So thank you very much for being part of this experience today. And now that I've got the blog selected, I would also really like to actually get a picture, but what to do it of. How about I set the date to appear to be for tomorrow instead of today. And I always like to go at 5:55 in the morning. So that's when it's going to go. And so now it's scheduled. Woohoo! And so once I've scheduled it, then I'm going to go in and get the first vlog set up, which was the part that I cut. So I will show you what all of this is. The back end of WordPress is where you're looking right now. And this blog is being scheduled for April 1st, which is exciting. And so once it has actually got scheduled, then we're going to go over to the next part. Why is it taking so long? There we go. Good. Excellent. How's everyone doing tonight? Great to be here. The gem theme. I just talked to a JMT member named Chris Warnke, or Workney, and he actually is working on his 10th book right now, which is crazy. Way to go. And he's got a book called The Coach Approach that I would like to narrate. So we're going to see if that is possible. And then we'll have that as part of this whole thing as well, which is the larger series that I'm talking about when I talk about the thing. So that's exciting. I just like to be back on the page builder side, but I don't need to technically do that right now. Because instead, what I need to do is go into Aweber, which is my automated responder, which is where I schedule my messages. And it's 8:08 when I'm showing you this. So what I'm going to do is post the part that I cut. And it's going really slow. So there's the part of me that gets a little nervous. And then there's the part of me that just says, okay, Laura, just trust. So I'm just going with it. Okay. So I have 54 subscribers and 22.2% actually opened them when I sent it out one day ago. So I'm gonna create a new message and go into the drag and drop builder. And then I always say dear, and then it will auto-populate to correspond with their first name and the email, whatever their account is. So I can update the picture after, but for now, yeah, that's what I wanted. Okay, so that's where I have now got the email ready to go with Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat of Privileged Identity. So that's exciting. Now I just have to space it out. So this is the stuff you don't see. I work a lot to bring all of the messages to everyone. And what I am working on doing now is really creating the opportunity for us to come together and learn about the word magic that has been cast over top of our ability to actually see the truth of things. And so I hope this brings greater clarity as to where will serve you best to direct your energy, effort, attention, and money if you wish to invest your energetic resources into gaining access to support from ones like myself who are doing our best to really get aligned with where we are, where we're going, and what's next. So I am grateful to get to have this platform and the ability to actually craft such messages as these. And I'm going to continue building this in privacy. I will say before I do go that I made this blog that is just about to go live, and I updated the homepage so that information about this course is actually available where life's a trip, as is the sacred sojourn of our inner realms. So it goes into all of the sessions for the mastermind groups. It goes into the calls that have already been scheduled for this month. It talks about Father Goose, which is a story by Bill Lishman, a family I have been close to for the last year and a bit, and I'm grateful to have got to hear the remarkable story that I had heard when I was a child about a man that was flying with geese down south and leading them with an ultralight plane that unified people who would look up and see it, which was just a really cool concept. So I am also giving people the opportunity to make that donation and get everything that is listed there in exchange for doing so. So if that resonates for you and you want to actually hear about it in relation to a hero's tale like Bill Lishman's story, Father Goose, or my own Fully Committed, which took 5 years to rewrite me before the world got to see it, or the real story of Rome, which is the reality of my empowerment. All of these opportunities are available for $9.99. And that is going to help me get the video crew together to do the documentary about how we harmonized us. And I am super excited to be in this, to win this with you. So please do get involved. Reach out if you have any questions, if you have any reservations as to why you're not getting involved. Let me know that too. And certainly, if there is a way that I can help you say yes to gaining access to more support and also offering some to me in exchange for the support you'll receive in kind, well, please don't hesitate. Reach out, let me know, and I will be more than happy to speak to whatever your concerns are. And if there's a fit, then let's go for it. And if there's not, well, then I wish you all the very best regardless, because that's what life is all about, truly. So I look forward to connecting with you again very soon and appreciate your time, energy, effort, attention, and consideration of money and the investment into what I am doing in this world and realm. And with that, I will say, Laura J, peace and out for today. Thank you. Woo!